Hey, it's Don here today with the DIY Collaborative, and thanks for stopping by the channel. What you're seeing me do here was another one of our mini experiments. I have these little wire compost bins that we use to collect leaves, occasional grass clippings when we have them. I don't always catch the clippings because I like to let that stuff fall back on the yard when I can. But in the area around my pool, I like to try to keep as much of that as I can out of the pool, so I'll catch my grass clippings and then take them and put them in these bins. But I decided recently to try to speed up the process and go ahead and break down some of the leaves and use the final product, if you will, to level some areas in my yard with that dirt. And I screened it and got the big chunks out and put it back in one of the compost bins. But it's just interesting to see what came out of it, because among other things, we had put at the end of the season last year some pumpkins, we've had squash, we've had cantaloupe, and different other things that we've thrown into the compost bin. And this stuff clearly didn't break down that well, as you'll see in the next shots. But anyway, thanks again for stopping by, and stick around to the end to hear what ended up happening. So this is one of the areas that we filled in with compost. And if you saw one of our previous videos, we talked about how this is always getting dug out by the mowing crew with their weed eaters along here. And I prefer...
Hey Hazy, what are you doing? Hey Hazy, good morning. What I prefer to do is keep this level all the way across this patio area here, as you can see. Yeah, the puppers is wanting pets. Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
But anyway, we use our own compost and screen it or sift it, and that's what I use to fill this area in with. So we're going to see how that works, and I need to come back and maybe rake this a little better and get it level and do some more watering, but it looks pretty good for now. I just tried to fill in and rake it lightly with a garden rake and get it to level off and just look nice.
Easy bazy.
Which brings me to another area that we recently used a lot of our compost in, and it was a area in the back of our lawn where we've been having a little bit of trouble because of how much shade that it gets, which is over here on this side. And I don't hate it. It kind of took off, and it's like a combination of squash, pumpkins, zucchini. I think we might have even found one cantaloupe in here. But when this area was cleaned out in the late winter and then in the early spring, I went in here and tilled this up and did some leveling, but then I added a bunch of wheelbarrow loads of compost to try to fill it on up and get it ready for some planting that I did. And all of a sudden, we started seeing all of these plants. So because of the area, and we didn't really have, anything specific in mind to plant back here, I decided just to let this stuff go and let it take off and see what it would do. And again, I don't hate it, but it's just taken off and, really kind of taken over the area. And for now, I'm just letting it go until we decide whatever it is that we're going to do back here with this, and we'll see. So let me know if you reuse compost, or why you think this happened. Some people have told me, or some research that I've done has revealed that maybe my compost wasn't heating up enough, or what have you, to kill out the seeds or what have you. But we did last fall, when we were through with a lot of our pumpkins and things like that, we did bust those up and put them in the compost bin. So this is what we end up with. But again, we don't hate this. We've even taken, we'll take a lot of these blooms like this, early on and clean them. And we've actually deep fried those and eat them. We'll stuff them with cheese or some different, stuffing and fry those up and eat them. And they make great appetizers and they're really yummy. And not to mention, as you can see here on this one, the pollinators love this. So, it's good for our garden and good for our flowers anyway. And I hope that it's, going to be good for this area because it's not only getting in there and, busting up this soil, but it's kind of getting some air and it brings some interest to this part of the yard back here. And you can see this is one of my son's dogs, Hazel. She kind of likes exploring back here and seeing what's going on. So anyway, just, let me know what you think and what your experience is with using your compost, out in your lawn and your own areas. So this is another one of those rogue squash plants that came up back here by where some of my compost bins actually are. And I just decided to leave it for now. So right before the end of the month, all of these vines started to drastically wilt and look like they were dying. And we did some research and got to checking on it. And it turns out we got what we think is called squash vine borers. And apparently it's like a little moth or something that lays eggs on the stems of squash. And the larvae bore into the vines and that disrupts the nutrient and water flow to the plant. And it eventually leads to wilting and finally death. But anyway, in just a matter of a few days, this entire area was wiped out. So since then, we've ripped it all out and put it back into the compost bin and turned it under, and we'll just do something else with this area. But it was interesting to see, what happened with this stuff. So let us know what you do with your compost and the results that you have. Maybe yours are better than ours. And thanks for checking us out.